Hey guys, Skulkid here, and I just wanted to talk briefly about wielding your weapon in your left hand. This isn't going to be like pure facts or anything, this is just me rambling, basically, um, about what I found and what wielding a weapon in your left hand is like in Dark Souls 2 for starters. In Dark Souls and Demon Souls, you could wield a weapon in your left hand, but you wouldn't get the full potential out of it. This was one of the reasons dual wielding was not massively effective in Dark Souls, although I've seen it done quite well. I've been killed by it quite a few times. Well, not quite a few times, occasionally, on Dark Souls and Demon Souls when PvP. But anyway, but obviously that's different in Dark Souls 2. One of the major aspects of the game is the differences that have been made to dual wielding, and that is a direct result of not just the power stance, but the fact that movesets are reflected in the opposite hand. Not reflected, but you know, the movesets are the same in each hand, basically. That's yeah. So you know, you can fight properly with a weapon in your left hand, and this got me curious because I'm a big Zelda fan. And one of the reasons to do what you might do what I'm about to say is because you're a Zelda fan. Um, I basically got curious because, like I said, I'm a Zelda fan. I use a sword and a shield. Link uses a sword and a shield, and he is left-handed, so he wields his sword in his left and his shield in his right, as most Zelda fans probably know. So I decided to try this, and this is one of the reasons to try wielding like this. Is just cosmetically, you know, not just if you want to pretend you're Link to some extent in Dark Souls, but also just to give yourself a bit of uniqueness. You know, I think there's a huge variety of armor and weapons in this game, so you can already customize yourself and feel quite unique. But you know, an extra aspect of that could be that you wield your sword in your left hand, whilst everybody you fight wields their sword in their right hand. You know, it's just small things like that that make customization on these games great. But the other thing I was curious about was whether or not wielding your weapon like this would have an effect on the combat. You know, the actual gameplay. And I feel that it does. I'm not saying it does all the time. I'll get into that in a second. But the weapon I use, as you will know from the video you're watching, if you recognize the weapon or if you've seen any of my prior videos, my signature weapon at the moment, my favorite weapon by a mile, I think, is the Mastodon Greatsword. I love its moveset and I love its stats and its scaling. It is pretty good. It's not the best, but it's got good scaling. I'm a big fan of Greatswords. But anyway, and one key part of the Greatsword's moveset for me is the dash attack. Again, if you've seen my prior videos, and watching this video I'll be demonstrating, but if you see my prior videos, you'll see specifically the New Game Plus boss fights. You'll see that I use the old Dragon Slayer and the Lost Sinner ones in specifically. You may notice that I use the dash attack quite well. If I do say so myself, I dodge an attack, and then I immediately follow up with the dash, and instead of spinning straight past, I curve the control stick around in sort of a 90-degree arc, and as a result, with the right timing, your guy will spin in sort of a curve, and instead of spinning straight past him, he'll curve around and hit the enemy in the back. I use this very well. I use this in PvP as well, but it's been very helpful with specific bosses, especially ones that come straight at you and fight in mono on mono, like the Lost Sinner and the old Dragon Slayer. I've used it to great effect. But with the Lost Sinner, one of the things I found was that she often dodged my hit just at the very end and then retaliated immediately. Obviously, she's very aggressive, but basically the attack would reach her back just a fraction of a second too late, and she would have jumped back, and then she immediately charges at you and tries to stab you in the face. And this is one of the reasons I now wield my sword in my left hand, because I tried it out and doing this spin attack, as I'll have been showing in this video already probably, you may have noticed. Doing the spin attack with the weapon in your left hand instead of your right, you actually spin in the opposite direction. If it's in your right, you spin clockwise. If you wield the weapon in your left, you spin counterclockwise. And the effect this has is that if you're using it the way I am, and you're spinning past the enemy around their side or past them to their back, well, you'll be spinning past around their side anyway. But sorry, I'm rambling. Spinning clockwise with it in your right, your blade will end up in their back, and you'll hit them with your backswing, or you're just plain and simple hitting them in the back. But with it in your left, you'll be spinning, especially if you go on the left hand side specifically, I think, because that's what I do. You will hit them square. You'll hit them in the chest, sorry, in the front, not the back, because you're spinning counterclockwise, and the sword is coming straight at them. And the effect that this has had on me is I'm looking very forward to fighting the Lost Sinner again, because I think it will allow me to get off a lot more hits on her that I wasn't able to get off in the first place because she would just barely dodge. I don't think she'll be able to dodge as many of my attacks now, which is going to be very nice, I have to say. But in PvP, I've gotten quite a few hits off. I think I've probably got quite a few wins because of it, because a lot of the time with the normal spin, with the clockwise spin, people would, I mean, when they see you coming at you after they finish their spin, their reflex is to dodge backwards out of the way. And same with the Lost Sinner, players would often just sort of reflex, roll backwards instinctively and dodge my attack, even if they don't know it's exactly what's coming. But spinning the weapon counterclockwise, I found quite often that because you hit them a tiny bit sooner than you would spin in the opposite direction, obviously, because you're hitting them in the front, not from behind. Mid-swing rather than at the end of your swing. I've gotten quite a few hits off of people that haven't actually been able to dodge in time, and then obviously I can follow up with two, sometimes with a second, sometimes a third swing, and I can do a lot of damage, and it has definitely won me a few fights, specifically against gankers, so that's always nice. So yeah, I've been testing this for all today basically. The whole time I've been playing today, I've been switching between right and left, seeing what effect it has on my game. And I think it does have a small effect. I'm not saying it's a game-breaking game-changing effect. I'm not saying it's huge. You're not insta-hitting anyone or anything stupid like that. It's just a small change. But the great thing about Dark Souls for me, anyway, is that little things like this do have an effect on combat. The reach of your weapon has an effect on combat. It's not just about stats. It's about the way the weapon handles in those slightly different situations and different scenarios. The way each weapon handles itself differently. And that's one of the things I love about Dark Souls. It's one of the reasons it is probably my favourite game, definitely probably my favourite modern RPG. And yeah, so I just decided to make a video about this because I've been testing it out today. I've had a lot of success. Like I said, in that scenario, I've had a lot of success. If you're a regular watcher or if you're subscribing to me, if you see any of my videos in the future, they will almost definitely be with me wielding my sword in my left hand and my shield in my right. Two-handing it still, obviously, because I'm not a noob. No offense if that's just a joke. Yeah, the spin attack is two-handed, by the way. But so if you use your sword and shield, I haven't tested it. I like to fight two-handed. But anyway, that's beside the point. Like I said, it's not a huge change, but it is a small change. And the small changes can be very significant on this game. So I just thought I'd make a video for it for anyone that's curious. You might come across this if you're curious about this and you just Googled it or whatever. So yeah, I've only tested it with the Mastodon Greatsword, by the way. I have no idea. It could have an even bigger effect or a slightly smaller effect. It could just have an effect on other weapons as well. I'm sure it does. I'm sure the Mastodon Greatsword isn't the only weapon that it changes slightly. But anyway, I'm going to cut it there because I'm starting to ramble too much now, I think. Thank you for watching. I hope you found this video interesting, if not helpful. And yeah, thank you for watching. I really hope you enjoyed it, and I hope it wasn't too annoying. I hope I didn't ramble too much. Yeah, goodbye. Thanks for watching. I greatly appreciate it.